so quick. What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be looking at a review of the Matthews V3X 29-inch axle-to-axle. This is the new bow that I'm going to be using this year, especially during bow season. Super duper excited about this bow. First impressions, I love it. I'm just going to keep it simple today in this video. We're just going to talk about the arrows that I went with, the release, the sight, the arrow rest, some other additional attachments, and just what I like about the bow and what I dislike about the bow. Just keeping it kind of simple. Just going to do a little bit of a review on this bow. But first I want to start off looking at these arrows that I went with this year. I decided to go with the Easton 5mm FMJ with a 75 grain insert that I put in, and these are just some 100 grain broadheads. But I did the fletchings myself this year, which is it's a new challenge for me. I did some, and they've come off, especially when I was sighting this bow in, like I missed or something, or I just hit right below the target. The fletching came off. It happens. I'm just gonna fix those up and get them back in working condition, hopefully soon. But it was only 2 of them. But so far, I love these arrows. They just feel really solid, and they feel. Each arrow feels very, very similar to one. They're almost identical. And I know my fletching job, because this is my first year doing it, is probably not the best, but that doesn't diminish from these 100% or .001 match grade arrows. Love these arrows, but these are the Easton 5mm full metal jackets, and these inserts are some half-out steel inserts, and I'm probably gonna go with I have some 100 grain Schwacker broadheads that I have yet to use. They're mechanical. Eventually, I'd like to move away from mechanical broadheads, just because I've seen several things where like one of the limbs will break off inside of a deer. You hit something and it just breaks off. It doesn't carry through. And I've watched a lot of videos where that's happened to some people, or they've got to retrieve the broadhead, or the arrow in the broadhead just didn't even deploy. And that would be terrible, because that's kind of the whole point of that broadhead, is for it to deploy. So I'd like to move to a fixed broadhead. Unsure which fixed broadhead I'd like to go with, but that's going to be next year's challenge. This year I'm just going to focus on what I got and go from there. Alright, next I want to show you guys the release that I went with this year. This is a Scott's Archery Shark release. Let me see here. Yeah. I love this new release. This trigger is just, it's very, very sensitive. And the more and more I've shot it, the more I've gotten used to it. And I really love these rests because of the anchor points, especially when I'm shooting, because I like to put my knuckle right behind my ear. Really, this index knuckle, I'll put that behind my ear, and I'll pull back with my finger against the trigger, and then I'll wrap over, and I'll slowly pull back and get that surprise release. And so instead of using my index finger to actually pull on the trigger, I'll set my finger in front of it, and I'll pull my whole elbow back and get that surprise release. But so far, I really like the customization of this release as well. I know you can move the bolt around on these so that if you wanted it to fit a little bit better, but when I'm shooting, especially because I've shot this bow quite a few times now, especially this week as I prepared to do this review. But I get this pretty, and I love also, this is not Velcro. That's one thing that kills me, is sometimes they put Velcro on hunting gear, and it's funny to me because the whole point of, a lot of hunting is that you have to be very quiet, and then they go and put Velcro on things that are definitely don't need to have Velcro on them. But if I'm in the field, or if I see a deer and I need to, for some reason, adjust this, or even putting it on when I first get in the stand, I don't feel like I'm like, putting it on. But really love the feel of this release. Really love this release. But now let's move on to the big ticket item, the bow that I have sitting here next to me. This is the Mathews V3X 29 inches axle to axle, and the V3X is the only one that comes in the 29-inch axle to axle. And already, for just in comparison of the 33 and the 31, I've held the 33 and I've held the 31, but I like the feel of the 29. I just do, in terms of feeling like you're holding something that's easily maneuverable instead of like something that's way larger than what it needs to be. But I went with a 10-inch Bee Stinger stabilizer. I really like the stabilizer. I really like the look of it. I could have went with something to match the ambush green of the V3X, but I could always go back. I'm sure somebody would buy this because the stabilizers are going to not really change all that much. And I've got a HHA Optifine, or it's an Optimizer Lite HHA. It's got a little bit of adjustment on the side here. I don't know if I can really get that in the frame. Let's see. You might be able to see that. Yeah, right here. So you can change and adjust wherever. So if a deer comes into a spot that you have marked, you've already painted as, okay, that's my 30-yard spot, and you can move it. And this isn't completely sighted in yet because I just haven't finished sighting it in. I've got to read. This is for my old bow, and I just took this sight and I put it on this bow because I didn't want to buy a new sight yet. A little bit expensive, especially the one I want. But you can move that and adjust that and then go from there. But I love the single pin, that neon green, and I love, it's got that level on there. And I went with the Hamskea Epsilon arrow rest. And guys, let me tell you right now, I love this arrow rest. It just feels genuine, feels legit. It's a limb activated rest. So there's a string that goes down to the limb, and as you pull back, it raises that rest up. And then the second that these limbs kick back to being parallel, that goes down. And so as your arrow is going through, I actually took a slow-mo, and I could probably go ahead and put that in there and you can slow it down. Of that arrow moving through, and you can just see it goes down so quick. I love it. Really happy with the way that arrow rest performs. A buddy at work told me about that arrow rest, and I started doing some research on it and really loved that rest. Just the whole concept of a limb activated rest. So that is the setup so far. I do have plans to add a low profile quiver. just didn't have the money right, as I was buying it, because it's a pretty pricey build, for sure. Especially once you get into all the attachments and stuff, things can really start to add up. And I just wanted to wait on the quiver because I knew I was going to add that on later. But first impressions, I love this bow. It's quiet. It feels very stable. Recoil and recoil control on this bow are just ideal. I've shot it, especially within the last 2 days. I've got groups of 3. I've shot groups of 3 and groups of 7 when I was videoing. I took some footage for you guys at the beginning of this video. I'm probably 50 to 75 times yesterday, and then a couple times today. Yes, I am sore. Yes, I'm tired because I have 60, or actually I have 70-pound mods on this bow, and I've got it turned down a little bit to I think like 63 or 65, somewhere in there. I do have plans to move it back up to 70. I just wanted to start with a little bit lower as I got kind of used to this bow and grew with it, because I don't really like loosening my mods up too much because it gives that space in between the limbs. This is all information from my buddy at work. He is my go-to for bow information. He tells me a lot of what I need to know if I ask him. But yeah, he explained that when you loosen your limbs up a little bit, it can create some space in there for that to move. So I don't really like to do that. And next year, or maybe even closer to season, I might move it up and go straight to 70 and just tighten them down and go from there. It is a hard pull, but I think I could do it. It's just 5 pounds more, right? Things I don't like about this bow. It's hard to come up with things that I don't like. But one thing that I might, and it's just because my old bow is different. The grip, it's very, very, very skinny, and I've got big hands, so it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit less for me to grab on, but that can also be a trade-off because you're not, you don't have as much to move around. My old bow, I would grab it, and I would rest these 3 fingers on the front, not put any pressure because I didn't want the bow to turn, but I would just rest. And on this one, it kind of feels like I can't really do that, which is fine. I just had to adjust to how this bow works. And the bow itself doesn't really feel heavy, especially when you're at full draw. That let off and you're able to just get stable. It starts feeling heavy just like any bow after a certain point when you've just been holding it for so long. But I feel like with a lot more practice, a lot more tuning, that'll change, and it'll get easier and easier to stabilize the shot and go from there. This bow does have the bridge lock technology on it, where you can put a sight directly into the bridge with a set screw. Let's see if right here. You can put a set screw coming in through this side and put a sight directly through the bridge lock there. When you buy the bow, it comes with a little screw, and then you can put it in if you have that specific sight. They are a little pricey. I don't know. I might consider getting one. I'm gonna wait and give them some time, so that some other people can try them out and I can watch some of their reviews and go from there. Then I might, if I get one, I'll make a review on that. But I really want like a Fast 80. I think that's what they're called. Go from there. I've heard, and I know my father-in-law uses that site, or did use that site on his, and I've heard good things about it from other sources as well. And I really just love the look of that site. But I may eventually, not this year, definitely not this year, but maybe next year, move up to something like that. I had to wait a while to get this bow, just because I had it ordered in the ambush green, and they didn't have it there at the time, and so I waited for quite a few weeks to get it in through the dealer that I go through, And the day that it came in, I didn't have any arrows for it because they were on back order as well. And so I got this bow. I brought it home, and it sat in my closet for a little while. And then the following week, I think it was, my buddy brought me an arrow to try and shoot through it just to kind of see how it did. And from the first shot that I took on it, once I got the sight, just kind of dialed in, it was the arrow just flew very, very well. It felt like and there wasn't a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for, interference from the bow, I guess. It just shot really well from the second I brought it home. It's very smooth, super quiet. I mean, this bow is so quiet. I'm excited to use it for that reason because if you bow hunt, one thing that you have to worry about is jumping the deer. Like when you shoot, the deer instantly moves, and you have to adjust for that. Where I am hunting, it is a very pressured area, and so this year I'm probably not going to shoot over 30 to like 33. 33 is pushing it for me in this area, especially. But now in Tennessee, I don't know how those deer will respond. So depending on the deer, and I may just have to let one walk and hope it comes in closer another day, or comes back and comes in closer, something like that. It's all very situational, especially down there because I have no idea what I'm going into with those deer. That's exciting because it's a new challenge. Deer are different, especially if they're pressured in certain areas. And I know that these deer are pressured a lot in rifle season, especially in November and December. But October, I don't know how much pressure is put on this area because I don't know how many people bow hunt around that area. I have seen several like redneck blinds, but they're on like huge cutovers. And so somebody's using those spots for really long distance shooting, or something like that. No way that they're bow hunting those huge cutovers. There's no way. The area that I'm going to be in used to be a tree farm. It still is, but the portion that I'm going to be hunting in is growed up right now, and I do have permission from the owner of the property to hunt that land. And I am super excited. I'm probably going to go out there. I was going to go out there this weekend, but instead we're actually going to go look at another spot down the road a ways and go do some field work on it and set up a camera and bait that area and kind of see what comes up. I'll probably take some footage of that just because that's going to go into the deer preparation log and all that good stuff. But that's going to do it for this review on this Mathews V3X 29-inch axle to axle. If you guys have any questions about how this bow performs, put it in the comments. I'd love to see your response or your thoughts if you're even considering getting the V3X. For the price that I paid for this bow, I think it well performs. I mean, I have had no issues out of this bow so far. Have loved it. I can't wait to use it in the field. Hopefully we'll get a deer this year. Hopefully, because last year we didn't even get to pull back on one. There was a couple at like 70 yards. But we did not even get to pull back on a deer last year. So I'm super excited to add this into my toolbox because I'm going to be combining this bow, this build, with my tree saddle build. And hopefully I'll be able to get into some of these really good areas and pick up some really good footage for you guys. Maybe some big deer will come along. Hopefully, if I can get him on camera, I'll show you guys. But this arrow is already made for Bruce. But if Bruce comes by on camera, I'll share it with you guys. But this arrow is for Bruce. So if we see Bruce, we'll take him out with that arrow. All my hunting arrows, I did a black fletching just to make them a little different from the other ones because all my other arrows have nothing but white fletchings, especially my practice ones, because I just needed fletchings, the same fletchings that I was going to hunt with on those practice area arrows. But super excited to use this bow. I'm not sponsored by Mathews in no way, shape, or form yet. not sponsored yet. I do have a wrist sling, and I haven't got it set yet either, just because I've been picking up and putting down this bow, and I didn't want to have to worry about messing with that wrist. But I'll adjust that because right now in July my practice schedule is 2 times a week. I shoot 2 times a week, and then next month is going to be 3 times, and then closer to September when we have that one weekend to hunt velvet, I'll do 4 times, and then in October I'll back it down to 2 because I'll be hunting more and I don't want to get tired. But super excited to use this bow. I look forward to bringing you guys along with me as we go through this year's deer season using this bow. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share this video with somebody else who's thinking about getting a Mathews V3X. I'd love to see your comments and your thoughts on what you think about the Mathews V3X. Thank you guys so much.